Ja mám americkú angličtinu, preto nebudem rozumieť teraz, vieš.
Nie je to na to britská.
Používaj postupkovú reč, Palio.
Okay. Okay, guys, let me introduce you to my first BJJ training partner. He was 15-year-old kid, I already said in his message. Now he's a fucking huge man. What can I say? You've seen the videos if you looked it up on Google, Instagram, whatever. He's just the strength. I already said, I've told you about the story that was about 17 when he found out the dinosaur training book.
You gave it to me.
And he went all to shit.
That's true.
Yeah, because then he just became fucking strong and he was unbearable when he was 16, 17 as a kid that moved really fast and had fucking beautiful jiu-jitsu. But then the strength came in and he all just went to shit. I couldn't touch, I couldn't do fuck all. So, you know, there is black belts, us, you know. There is the fucking top black belts. And there you go, man, that's the differences. And yeah, and there is a competition top black belts, of course. And again, something else. But, man, he's got things to teach, to show, to whatever. So I'm really grateful that he came. He's running around Europe, doing his little tours and meeting people and living the life, living the dream a little bit.
Come on, guys, come and take a seat. Come a little bit closer if you can. I was in the Czech Republic over the weekend, and I knew that I wanted to come and visit Lubo. I haven't seen him for so long, but the travel's been so crazy, so hard to organize. So I messaged you. When did I message you? It's Monday today. Saturday. I said, "Are you there Monday?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, I'll be there." And here I am. And I said, "Do you have a class? I'd love to come and teach the class." So it's probably the most important person in my jiu-jitsu journey because he was the first person I ever trained jiu-jitsu with, and you reminded me. He was the person who got me into strength and conditioning, which is crazy. You know, he gave me the book. I read this book. I still consider it the Bible of strength training, and that is what made me fall in love with getting stronger as well. So I haven't seen Lubo in I think 14 years.
13, 14, yeah.
It's been a long time, man. But it's one of those things where you see him after 14 years, and it's like I saw you last week. So it's such an honor to be here to see Lubo again. And to see the gym and all of the guys here. So thank you very much for having me, I appreciate it. So what we're gonna do today is Lubo asked for my signature technique today, which is gonna be the guillotine, okay? So I'm gonna try and cram my 3-hour seminar into an hour to get you guys as good as possible on the guillotine without taking too long. Just before we start, can I give you real quick? what I like to do, don't worry, we're gonna start nice and gentle. If you just go on your knees. So what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at mainly we're going to start with some concepts about control of the guillotine. A lot of people look at the guillotine as a submission, but it's not a submission. It's a control position that you can submit from. So the number one priority is building control. Once you have the control, then we can submit or sweep or take down or pass the guard or whatever you want to do. So we're going to focus first on building this control, and then we'll start looking at the submission. Now you can set up a guillotine from lots of different positions, but the position that we're going to look at today is going to be from the butterfly. Okay, we're going to be attacking the guillotine from here, and we're going to be doing an arm out guillotine. So there's two variations. You can do an arm in, underneath the armpit, and an arm out over the top of the arm here. We're going to be playing with the arm out guillotine. Before I start teaching you guys anything, I just want you to sort of bring your attention and awareness to the position. So I want you to pair up, find some space, and I'll put a minute on the clock, and then I'll tell you guys to switch. I just want you to start in the guillotine, and I just want you to sort of see what you are already doing. Everyone knows the guillotine, right? Everyone knows this position? The idea is that today we're just going to make it better. So sort of start in this position and move around a little bit, have the person try and escape, you know, and if he finds a way to escape, okay, he escaped, we get back in the position again. We're not fighting against each other, it's not competitive. We're just using the minute to sort of bring our awareness to the position, see what we're already doing before we start changing it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Any questions? So, grab a partner, pair up, I'll put a minute on the clock and I'll tell you guys when to switch over. You do the clapping thing here? 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I just like to do this so everyone starts to remember what you're doing naturally in the guillotine. What does the guillotine feel like to you now? And then you can see the difference as we start to try and improve it. So my first question to you guys is, What is the easiest or most common way that someone escapes the guillotine?
To the other side.
Pass to the other side. This is a very common one. What else?
Pushing the hands down.
Pulling the hands down. Again, very common. We're looking for something that is so common, so easy, you might not even call it an escape.
Backing out.
Keep going.
Pulling out.
Pulling the head out. Okay? Commander surfing now. By far the most common way that people lose the guillotine is simply that the head pops out like that. Now, very often this happens so early in the attack that we don't even call it a guillotine. We failed, he didn't escape, you know? So you might be here and you try and get this and the head just pops out. Sometimes you'll be in your position here and you'll have a good guillotine and then you go back and you land on the floor and the person's head stays there. This is very common. And the reason that this happens so much is because there's too much focus on what's going on underneath the neck and not enough focus on what's going on behind. Okay? So I love the name of this technique, the guillotine. If you imagine a French Revolution style guillotine for cutting off head, you have the blade that's going to drop and the shackle that's going to hold the person's head in place, right? Which is more important?
Shackle.
Why?
Because you can't escape.
You can't escape. That's the part that controls, right? If the shackle's not there, that blade drops, the person's gone. But if they're locked in place and the blade's not there, or it's broken or whatever, you can fix it, replace it, or you can just, you know, hit them in the head with a rock or something because you have the control, right? Now, if we transfer this to the grappling guillotine, the blade of the guillotine is the blade of the wrist, and the shackle is the shoulder. Now, here's the thing. If I ask you, what was more important in the guillotine, the wrist or the shoulder, what would you say?
Wrist.
Most people would say wrist, right? Yeah, you know now. Right? but it's not as obvious when you compare it to the physical guillotine, right? Because if you look at the guillotine as purely a submission, the blade is the most important. But if you look at it as a control position, you understand that the shoulder is more important and the blade is good. But if we don't have the shoulder, you don't have anything. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So let's look up, you know, when I say that the shoulder must be good, what do I mean by that? Well, luckily we have a very easy visual cue here. Very simple. When I'm in position, if I look down at my opponent's neck and I can see the back of the neck, they can probably pull the head out. It's as simple as that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get into position, a bad position. I can see the neck, but I'm going to hold strong. When I say go, wait till I say go, but when I say go, pull your head out, okay? So I'm going to get here, I'm going to squeeze really hard. You can feel I'm squeezing hard. Okay, go for it. The head pops out easily, okay? Whereas if I get into this position and I bring my shoulder forward, so when I look down, I can't see the back of the neck. But you try and pull your arm, you know, how much am I squeezing here?
Yeah.
I'm barely squeezing at all,
no.
but you try and pull your head out. And the head doesn't go anywhere, okay? And what this shows is it doesn't matter how strong you are or how much effort you put into it. If the positioning is wrong, you can't control the guillotine, right? The problem with this is, a lot of the time, if we use a forward body position to bring the shoulder forward, it means that if there's any movement in the body, the shoulder position comes off, right? Which means if there's a scramble, or if even the opponent just pushes my chest away, the shoulder will come off and the head will pop out. So what we need to do is we need to disconnect the shoulder slightly from the body. And we do this with a range of motion called protraction. So you're going to take, and you can practice this once you sit here, you're going to take your shoulder and you're going to bring it forward in front of the body here, right? Now what this does is it allows me to cover the back of the neck whilst potentially having a small amount of movement in the body. If my body ends up over here, I'm still going to lose the shoulder, but instead of having complete reliance, any bit of movement of the body moves the shoulder, now the shoulder stays in a good position, even if there's a bit of movement in the body, okay? So this range of motion here, some people struggle with this. If you're struggling to get this, I'll push your thumb, I'll push my thumb against your shoulder, and you push against it, right? A little while back, if you guys remember, Conor McGregor like rocked Cowboy, right? With these shoulder barges. So I started telling people when I taught the seminar, I said, be more like Conor McGregor. I don't say that anymore. It's not a good thing. You don't want to be more like Conor McGregor, but you guys get the idea, right? This shoulder is coming forward. Now the thing is, when you do this, when you bring the shoulder forward here, the person will feel they can't bring their head out. So what are they going to do? Exactly what you said. They're going to pull their body backwards because they're going to try and find the space for that shoulder, for that neck, and pop the head out. So when you're using this shoulder in a forward position, you don't just put it here and forget about it. Pull your head, yeah, exactly. It just comes straight out. You've got to imagine that the shoulder's like a magnet and it's being pulled down the spine the entire time. So if the opponent pulls their body backwards, you follow them, right? So when we're in guard here, I'm in this position. If you pull back, yeah, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. You see, I'm following the entire time. And actually, this creates a lot of opportunity. You know, when you think of the guillotine from butterfly guard, okay, we take the guillotine, we got to do some stuff with the legs to finish or to sweep. But actually, one of the easiest things you can do from the guillotine from guard is you set up this position and they pull back. And as they pull back, you come onto the knees. And then what do you have from here? You have very strong back takes or sweeps from this position because your chest is already behind the back. So even something as simple as taking this front headlock position and then just following them as they come up can create opportunities for you on the mat. This is what I want you guys to practice now. I want you to first get into your guillotine position. Forget everything I just said for like 2 seconds and just naturally get into the position. Just grab your guillotine, like whatever feels comfortable. And then look down and just notice how much space there is here. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, I don't know. But just see if there is space. However much there is, don't move it. Get strong and try and hold. Have your training partner try and pull the head out. And feel how easy that is. Now you're going to remember everything I said. You're going to get back into position. And this time that shoulder is going to come forward. Okay? From here now, have your opponent try and pull the head out and feel the difference in strength and control. Not only do you have more control, you're using less energy to hold it. Make sense?
Yeah.
Any questions? So just switching in, I won't tell you the switch, just switch in your own time, and let's have a play around with this. 3, 2, 1. So, can you guys feel the difference in control you have when the shoulder comes forward, right? It's a big, big difference here. I always say, if I was just going to spend 10 seconds or 10 minutes improving someone's guillotine, this is the only thing that I'm going to talk about. Because it's a thing that people get wrong the majority of the time. And it's great for me. I do commentary for grappling and MMA, but especially MMA. Lots of guillotines, and they're usually really bad. They just like, someone shoots a takedown, they grab the guillotine, they go like this. And as a commentator, the best thing you can do is like, see the future, all right? So I'll see at this huge bit of neck because the shoulder's backwards, and I'll say, no, it's not on. You know, don't get excited. He's not going to submit him. And then the head pops out, and I go, whoa, that was close. but you know, I can see straight away, and it's right the majority of the time. But if I see that shoulder forward and the head, you know, the neck isn't exposed, the head isn't going to pop out, much higher chance of finishing that submission and keeping the position. Any questions? Okay.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
I would like to ask, what is the difference between controlling the head arm in and out, arm out guillotine? If it's a different way of approaching the arm in guillotine.
Yeah. So I like the arm out guillotine.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
There are some people who love the arm in guillotine. There are lots of differences in the finish, like how to finish, and like what to do if you can't finish. You know, with arm out guillotine, it's a lot more sweeps and control. With the arm in guillotine, it's more Darcys and Bravos, anacondas and stuff like that, because you already have the arm in. However, the shoulder position remains the same in both positions. If the shoulder is back, the head pops out. Doesn't matter if you have the arm or not. If the head is out, they're gone. There is one advantage to an arm in guillotine position when it comes to control. The big difference between the two. So sometimes I will look to control with an arm in guillotine, and then switch to an arm out to try and finish. Any idea what the advantage of the arm in is going to give me?
Control or leverage?
Control of what?
Sweeping.
Keep going. What do I get more control of by underhooking the arm?
No.
More of the body, right? So the thing that I'll struggle with sometimes is if someone pulls back and they turn their head and they move a lot, because you're just hanging on to the head. So if there's lots of movement here, it can be difficult. But if I have an underhook here, it controls more of the body instead of just the neck. So if someone's in like a wrestling position here like this and they're moving around and they're thrashing, very often I'll switch to an arm in control and then I'll switch the arm out when I want to finish. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So we have these two components of the guillotine, the blade and the shackle. We've spoken about the shackle now, more important than the blade. But now we're going to talk about the blade a little bit. So this is going to be the wrist that is underneath the neck. Two things we need to talk about this. One, the positioning of the blade, and two, the connection to the other hand, right? So in terms of positioning, I'm looking to get the sharpest part of the wrist possible right on the front of the neck here. So the sharpest part is going to be about this. It's about 1 inch to 2 inches up from the wrist. This is where the blade is sharpest. If you go too deep, the forearm gets thicker. So it's a blunter weapon. And if you go too shallow, the hand is not only bigger, but it's harder to get a connection now. So the positioning of the wrist to the neck is very important. This is where, just bring your hand behind your back, just so everyone see. This is where I want to be. I can feel now, and you can feel that blade is right on the neck. If I go too deep, it's not the same. If I go too shallow, I'm going to struggle to get a good connection here. So the positioning of the wrist to the neck, very, very important. Now look, there are lots of different ways to do guillotines, okay? This is just the way that I like to do it. Some people will teach you the high risk guillotine. They'll be coming really, really deep with this arm. Some people bring the shoulder backwards because they're finishing with rotation. None of these are wrong or more right than the other. They're just different ways of doing a similar thing, okay? But the way I like to do it is having it as sharp as possible here. I want it to be painful because the more painful it is, the faster they're going to tap. That's what we want. So the wrist is in this position, not too deep, not too shallow. In terms of the hand connection, the place that you grab the hand is important. I don't want to grab over the wrist. Why don't I want to grab over the wrist? Based on what I've just told you.
You missed the point.
That is true. Go on, say Luba.
You missed the point of the...
Because you're missing that sweet spot. If you grab onto the wrist here, it pushes the choking position deeper. So it's going to be more blunt. I don't want to be grabbing on the fingers or half fingers and half hand for the opposite reason of yes, if I go close, I don't have good leverage. But if I go too far away from the wrist, I get what I call negative leverage. This means that I start working against my wrist. And I don't pull up as strong because if I pull up too much, the wrist will stop bending. So what I want to do is I want to grab over the hand and nothing else, as close as possible to the wrist without covering my choking position. This is my hand connection position here. Further away, there's too much negative leverage, I can slip off. Too close, and I'm going to cover up my sweet spot for choking. Another important detail on the hand connection. Many people, they will grab either with their thumbs. Why don't we want to do this? Because it limits the depth of the grip. So if we do this, the thumb stops movement and I'm just getting a fingertip on here. If I take this thumb away, look how deep this position I can get. Okay? So I want my fingers in like a deep hooking position. My nails are going to be halfway on the palm. The thing is, just because you're not using your thumb to grab doesn't mean your hand is in a good deep position. I see people all the time, thumbless grip, so they think they're doing it right, but they're still grabbing with their fingertips. It's just as weak as grabbing with the thumb. No difference here. So it's not about being thumbless. It's about being thumbless and taking a deep gripping position. Now, we're nice and strong. To finish off, I can close my fingers here. This is going to lock my hand in a little bit, but more importantly, it's going to take away my opponent's ability to strip the grip. So I grab and I close the hand up. Now the final detail on this is all about the orientation of the wrist. If you imagine I have a super sharp knife and I take his leg and I go like this, what's going to happen? It's going to cut him. I take that same knife, I do this, what's going to happen? Nothing, right? Or even if I just twist it a little bit, it's not going to cut. It's the same with the wrist here. If I turn this wrist at all, it's going to take off that cutting angle from the neck. And the problem is, a lot of people, when they set up, the wrist will be good, and then as they make connection, they do this. Here. And the wrist turns. Because you're viewing both arms equally. Here. This is the position. No, no, no. This is the king. The choking arm is king. The assisting arm does all the movement it needs to do to make the connection. The wrist stays pointing up straight into the neck. Okay? So what we have here, we have our perfect angle or perfect depth of this position. We have the orientation into the neck. And as we connect our hand, we're making sure this wrist doesn't turn. And training partner, this is your job to communicate. If it turns, if the pressure comes off, tell them. Now, obviously, the worst case scenario is that it goes flat. Because there's no, you try cutting through a steak with the side of the knife, it's not going to happen. So, but any movement here is going to take away that cutting angle. So we're in position. I take a deep hooking grip and then close my hand. This is how we want to be doing the guillotine. Of course, we combine this with our forward shoulder position. And this is, for me, like the perfect image, the perfect model of a guillotine control. And once you've got this, I want you to close your eyes and feel your body position and feel the wrist on the neck, the shoulder forward, and sort of take a photograph of this in your head. And remember this. Okay, this is where I want to go every time. And I know right now that if I start, you can feel this is right on the edge there. Even though I don't want you guys to squeeze. If you squeeze here, you're forcing it through. The position should do the work. This is something I really believe in jiu-jitsu. The position does the work, not the energy. Okay? Any questions? Everyone cool? 3, 2, 1. Relax the arms. Do not try and submit each other early on, because we are going to be submitting each other in like maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And if you're already close to tapping them, their heads are going to pop off and roll on the mat, okay? And it's going to be very messy. So don't squeeze too hard. We're just focusing on having the biggest effect from the smallest amount of effort, right? Any questions? So what you should be feeling now is that with your forward shoulder position, the head feels very secure, like you can't pull the head out. Your wrist is in a good position where the pressure is on the neck without that much energy. And the hands feel very strong and connected with each other. Has everyone got that? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I grab someone else, please? Anyone?
Peto, ty si ešte nebol.
So,
Si veľký. Čo to nogy Blackbelt, čo je?
So, what I've shown you so far, the shoulder position, the wrist position, the hand connection, this is going to be true of any position that you guillotine from. On top, underneath, standing, on the ground, all the same. What we're going to do for the rest of the session is we're going to start looking at finishing the guillotine off of the back in the guard position. Now, if we are going to go to a guard position to finish the guillotine, what guard do you think we're going to go to?
Close.
Closed is the most common answer. Sometimes people say half guard or butterfly guard or something like that. I do not like to go to the closed guard to finish the guillotine. Any idea why?
Restricted movement.
Because they end up on the bottom.
It is restricted. I don't mind being on the bottom. It is restricted, but it's something else a little bit.
The angle is different.
Angle's a little bit different, but the main reason is, the reason why people like the closed guard, because it feels safe. If the person does pop the head out, they're not going to pass your guard. but you're almost trading effectiveness for safety. It's low risk and low reward. It's not the way that you want to grapple, okay? The reason why I don't like the closed guard is because when you go to choke someone, everyone is going to do the same thing. As soon as you grab the neck, they're going to do this. Okay, I call it turtle in the neck. They bring the shoulders up, the head down, and they're trying to make their neck stronger. It's harder to submit someone who's doing this. What I want is I want the person to stretch their neck out. Because when they stretch their neck or giraffe the neck, it's much, much easier to submit them. The neck is weaker. Now, if we think about the closed guard position, we have the guillotine from here. What is my opponent going to do? They're going to be pushing it into me to try and keep their neck as short and tight as possible. And the problem with the closed guard, great position for pulling someone in, and a terrible position, push into me, a terrible position for pushing someone away. There's nothing between me and my opponent's hips, so there's nothing to push away with. That's why I don't like the closed guard. What I prefer to do is utilize a position. This is not a position I came up with. It's a very common position, but it never had a name. So I call this position guillotine guard. Guillotine guard has one shin across the body and the other leg over the back. What this allows me to do is use this shin shield to extend my opponent away, to stretch their body away from the head, to expose the neck and make it easier for me to submit them. Now, this is a very asymmetrical position, but of course, once I've attacked the guillotine, the whole position's asymmetrical. Whichever arm I am choking with, the same side leg comes across the body. This is very important. If I'm choking with the right arm, the right shin comes across. The left shin then, the outside leg, comes over the back. What is this doing?
Stopping him to go.
It's stopping him from passing. And you may think, well, what if he passes this way? Yeah, he knows already. Exactly. The thing is, when I guillotine, if he passes to the choking arm side, the choke comes on even worse. But if he passes to the opposite side, the choke is, unless you make some adjustments, the choke is killed. So what I have with my guillotine guard is I have the two legs are doing two different jobs. The leg that I don't care if he passes to this side pushes him away, and this leg stops him from passing. This is my guillotine guard. Now, for now, don't worry about how we get into this. We'll look at that afterwards. For now, this is what I want you to do. I want you to put your shin in front of the body, and then I want you to collect the head, bring the shoulder forward, get your hand connection, everything we've just done. You're going to start in this position. You're going to load up the guillotine guard. Now, a big mistake that people make when they go back is and this is very, very common, is they lead with the head or the shoulder. So what do I mean by that? They go back, they go like this. What happens? The shoulder comes back and the head pops out. Or they lead with the shoulder and they go here and the head pops out. This is why you see so many instances of people popping their head out as they go backwards. And even if the head doesn't pop out, even if he's not able to escape, what happens is, don't worry about pulling it, I end up on my back and there's so much space here that the angle's not on the neck anymore. So even if they don't pop the head out, it doesn't mean you haven't screwed up. It's very like you still have. So if you practice this and you lose that shoulder, that neck position, stop and start again. So look, I'm here, the shoulder is forward, and as I go back, I pull from the wrist. Not the shoulder, not the head. And look how I go back. I don't lose that shoulder position. Okay? Other things from here. I'm not falling straight onto my back. I'm falling on my side. It's easier if you lift this leg up straight away and you do these two movements at the same time. You'll always fall at that sort of 45-degree angle. But if you're not lifting that leg up, you can still turn towards your opponent. Basically lift the far side glute off of the mat, throw the leg over the back here. And then finally, so that's one thing, is falling to the side, lifting the far side hip off. The second thing is a lot of people, as you go backwards, their head is going to hit the mat. They're not going to move anymore. If you keep moving, you're going to lose that shoulder position again, and the head will pop out. So what you end up with in this position is you're like wrapped around the person, okay? You're here, over the top. I'm not looking to put my back on the mat, because then the head's coming out. Once you get to this position, and this is again, if you're squeezing too much, then you won't be able to do this properly. We're not using the arms here. What I want you to do is to push the person away. Now this is by far the hardest thing that people struggle with when they do this technique. Because the way that people usually push away is they'll kick the foot like this. And even if you tell them not to, they'll still kick the foot like this. The problem is if you use the foot and you kick like this, one, it's weak, and two, it's in the wrong direction. Instead, what you want to do is you want to push the knee from the body, okay? So think about your knee pushing, not your foot kicking. Increase the space between your upper leg and your body. This is what you want to do. So it's not this, it's this. And it's just a push with the lower body. I'm not extending the upper body as well. Now what you get if you do this right is you're holding them there, and you reduce their resistance to the choke, sometimes past just holding it. So we're not trying to submit anyone here, but you might submit them by pushing them away, even though you're not squeezing the arms. All we're looking for, not the submission, I just want them to feel the choke is coming on without the person squeezing. That's the goal. Make sense? So watch. I load up this leg, I collect the head, I connect the hands, the shoulders forward. I go backwards onto the side, I throw the leg over, and then I push with my knee, and I just push a little bit away. Could you feel how the choke was starting to come on, even though I'm not squeezing with the arms anymore? Make sense?
Yes.
Any questions?
Please, I have a question. When
Yeah.
you push him away and the neck starts to pop out, does it mind?
So, the only reason, the idea when you push them away is because you have control of the head. As they push away, the body should move, right? And the head doesn't. And that's what stretches the neck. So what you don't want to do, you want to push from the lower body without extending the upper body. It isn't a full body extension here. It is just from the lower body. So you shouldn't lose too much shoulder position. Everyone cool?
Yep.
Let's have a play with this. 3, 2, 1. So hopefully what you can feel here is one, you're getting more used to keeping this shoulder forward so that you're not extending the upper body and losing that neck position. Either the submission doesn't come on or the head pops out. And then of course the second thing we're looking for here is we're weakening the neck by exposing it, by stretching it out. Any questions?
Sometimes it's not a choke, it is something like a neck crank or something like that.
Only if it goes badly.
Very similar to.
Yeah. So, can you show me? Let's have a look. Yeah, sure. Yeah, show me. Yeah.
You saw it.
Yeah, you show me. So, let's have a look. Here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so, hump up. So, yeah, let go. So, before he goes to sleep.
Jump up!
So if your positioning of the wrist is, if you turn the head as you set up the guillotine, now this will come on more as a neck crank. So what you can do sometimes, I didn't have time to cover it today, but during the setup you can play around with moving the head position. I don't use a chin strap usually. I use what I call a jaw strap. So I'll bring my wrist to the position I want, and then I'll bend my wrist, and I'll use this to turn the head. And you can use the other hand. So if the person has turned their head, I'm not just going to lock off here. I mean, yeah, you can neck crank them, but instead I look to try and bring the head back round to the position, so that I'm keeping that head aligned with that wrist, so it comes on the throat and not on the neck. Yeah. Any other questions?
Is the hand fight more important than to take the position, so you need to have the hand fight position right before you go to the position.
Yeah, I had to cut some stuff out of the seminar to fit it in the time slot we had, and you guys just seem to be. You seem to have worked out exactly what I was missing, you know? Yes, so usually between the last thing we did and the first thing we did, I talk about grip fighting. And we don't have time to go into the details, but the concept is very simple, which is whoever gets to the hand first wins. Okay? So if I get to the hand first, it's good. If he gets to the hand first, not so good. This hand doesn't really matter. It is always that arm on the side of the hand when you're attacking a choke. It's the same if I take your back. When you do a rear naked choke here, when I do this arm can't defend. You know, even if he reaches across, yeah, just use this arm. Even if he gets control, he pulls towards the elbow. This is the hand I need to be blocking. You know, so when you're grip fighting from the back, I'm controlling this and I'm going here. I don't care about that. It's the same with the guillotine. So yes, if you are slow connecting to the hand, we can end up in a bit of a grip battle. Yeah, we don't have quite time to go into how we might win that, but you're absolutely right. The best advice is if you're not able to instantly get there, then try to fight the hand to get inside position so you have a head start in that race. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, so, yeah, I'll grab you again. So what we're going to do very quickly, obviously we've looked at the guillotine guard, but the question is still, how do we get here, right? Because we're starting in the butterfly guard. You're not going to be setting up the guillotine in the guillotine guard. So we're starting in this position. How do we get to the guillotine guard? Because the thing is, we need to be able to do this very quickly. The second that I connect my hands in the guillotine, he can pass the guard to this side here. Okay? Prior to that, before I connect the hands, he can't do it. Even if it's one hand, he can't really do it. I still have a hand to block him. But as soon as I commit two hands to this, now the pass can come. So I have to be able to get my legs out very, very quickly. Now sometimes if the person's leaving a lot of space and you've got short, very flexible legs, sometimes you can just go straight into this position. It's easier. You know, you see the youngsters, you get a 16-year-old who's short and stocky, he's going up against someone who's 6'5". You don't need to worry about this. But a lot of people really struggle to get the legs out of here. And if you can't get the legs out, you're probably not going to end up in a good situation. So I'll show you what I believe is the easiest way to do this, or the fastest way to do this. I look at it like two big guys trying to fit through the door at the same time. They're going to get stuck. They've got to go one at a time. So my outside leg, if it's high, I track it down just a little bit. Just move it down, and I'm just going to push away a little bit. You do not need to kick this leg all the way out. This is going to work against you. I just need to get a little bit of space here. So I push here. Enough space to hold as my inside leg comes to the outside. Once my inside leg's on the outside, I can hold and I can bring my outside leg back out. So I know I said you're going to be really quick and then I show you 3 steps. Doesn't seem very quick, but it's the quickest way that I know of. Okay? So it's push, out, out. Okay? I go a little bit faster. So you can actually see when you do it at full speed, this can actually be a very fast way of doing this movement. Especially if someone's pushing into you and trying to take up the space. The amount of space that you need to push this here, this is going to be dependent on the size of the person against you and your own leg length and flexibility. Some people, it might have to be more. Some people, just a little amount is enough to get that position. Now the reason, just come around the other side. The reason why I show this second is because 1, you need to know where you're going to. Makes it better. But 2, when you start coordinating the lower and upper body together, it becomes very difficult. So this is probably what's going to happen. The first couple of times you do this, you're going to be looking here, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, and you're going to do that. And the head's going to be completely gone. I'll let you get away with this 2 times max. After that, I'm not going to allow it. I want you to really focus, once you've got that leg movement, of keeping this shoulder forward whilst I'm doing these movements here. So I'm never losing that shoulder. Make sense? 3, 2, 1. And you are Santos. You know what the worst thing was? Nick can eat his face with that before. Like he just got the face. No, my browser wanted to say that. I tell people. Yes. Just because they're tapping from the brain, someone
Už robím tretie. Aj iných natáčam trošku. Sekundovo.
Ale máš tu rovno.
Čo? No to má tak trochu, to sa má vytrhnúť tá hlava a to bude boleť. To ako dá nohy. Tak. OK. Bine.
How's everyone getting on with this? Yeah. It's about to get a little bit worse. Any questions on anything up to this point?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, go on.
With the other hand that's not the leverage,
Yes.
then what do you have to do with that hand?
Okay. We're gonna do that next.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna focus on that.
How do you even get to the guillotine from the back line?
Yes. Ask me at the end.
Okay.
We'll talk about setups at the end. The other thing that I left out on purpose. You guys aren't letting me leave anything
So
out.
just stop the clock. Turn it around and you keep going.
Can I grab someone else, please? Anyone?
Let me be your brain.
Halo.
Oh,
Jak tu wiecie, jak dostać gilotynu?
I'll do it tomorrow. Don't worry. Come round.
Uvidia potom.
Come on inside. So what we're going to look at now is the finish. There's 3 mechanisms of the finish here. 1, we already know, we push them away. That's number 1. Number 2, we increase the tension in the arms, but just a little bit, okay, for this now. But when the mistake that lots of people make when they squeeze on any choke is they squeeze as hard as they can for like 1 second, right? Instead, the choke doesn't come on instantly, even though this will because it's very powerful, but chokes aren't meant to come on straight away. When you squeeze for a second and let go, you'll see the person, the hand comes to tap and then it goes down again. And then the hand comes to tap, you see, this is very, very common, especially a white and blue belt. When you apply the submission, take your time. I start the squeeze at like 30%, and I just slowly over like 10 seconds, I increase it. I want to get the tap without having to use much effort. Because if something's gone wrong, I have more energy to go into it. So 1, push away. 2, increase tension for this today, just a little bit. The main mechanism of the finish is going to be raising the wrist through the line of the neck, okay? In the same way that the guillotine, I say it's like a reverse guillotine. The blade doesn't come down, the blade goes up. But it's the same idea. The blade goes through the neck. So the way we're going to lift the wrist through the neck is using the assisting hand. Imagine you put a weight here. If I wanted to lift this as strong as I could, I'm going to lift straight up. So this is the angle that I want to get my arm to. I want to get this arm vertical. So position, just up here, a bit more. So the position that I want here, I'm looking to get this elbow as high as possible. Now you'll see a lot of people, they'll go, look at the angle I have, and then you look at their hands and the grip is not there and the wrist is all wrong. It's not about how high the elbow goes. It's how high the elbow goes whilst maintaining a good connection and a good positioning. Okay? And then you'll have people who go, well, my elbow doesn't go higher than about 45 degrees. And again, it's not how high your elbow goes relative to your body, it's how high it goes relative to theirs. So what you can do, this is as high as my elbow goes, but if I compress on one side, if I crunch here and I open up on the other side, look how much more of an angle I can create. So as we bring our elbow into position, we open up and crunch to the side. Okay, this frontal flexion here is going to allow our elbow to take a very high angle. At this point, we just look to pull the wrist through the neck. Okay, so I'm going to do all three individually, and then very gently, I'm going to do all three together. Come on, so we're going to be here. I crunch to the side to get my elbow into this high position. From here, I can push, I can squeeze, I can lift. If I very gently do all three of these together, and you can feel I'm barely doing anything there, okay? Because the position is so strong, the angle is so sharp, and we're using very, very efficient movements. Again. You can see, I'm barely doing anything. Okay? Now, a few things on this. One, you will notice that I will lose. Okay, usually I've been banging on about the shoulder for 2 or 3 hours at this point. As I go backwards here, when I bring the arm through, I'm going to lose some of this shoulder position. Okay, because of course I am. I have an arm between me and him now. So I'm going to lose a bit of that space. The thing is, if my position was bad to begin with, when I bring that arm through, I lose it entirely. But if the shoulder was good, I can lose a little bit of that neck position and still be in a good angle, a good position here. So yes, maybe I'll lose an inch, maybe even 2 inches of the neck. But if you're seeing sort of the hold of the top of the head here, you've gone way too far. I'm still prioritizing keeping that shoulder forward, but I understand that it needs to move backwards a little bit to find space for the elbow. When you practice this, load up your guillotine guard first. Less complexity, less things to worry about. So the first few times you do this, start with the leg across, connect the hands, shoulder forward. From here now, I'm going to lead with the elbow. So I'm going to crunch, lift, and throw the leg over the back. From here now, push, squeeze, lift. I'm barely having to do anything. If you do this 2 or 3 times and you nail it, if you're not nailing it, keep doing it like this. Don't change. But if you feel like you've got it, then you can practice going from your butterfly guard with the transition. Collect the head, push the leg out into my finished position here. Any questions? Everyone cool? 3, 2, 1. Still sometimes the arm's too short, the neck's too big.
Toto zavrieš, dávaš to tuto na krk a plece musí byť toto na vrch. Teraz, keď idem dole,
The first thing I'll talk about is the timing. Obviously, we've looked at like lots of details, lots of stages of this. So if we do this like we've been shown this, you know, we're taking the head and then we're pushing the leg out and then we're getting to here and we're going down and the elbows come in high and then we're applying. In reality, almost all of these things are happening at almost the same time. As soon as I connect my hands in the guillotine, what I say is, once I have that guillotine, I am now eligible for the guillotine to be defended. So as soon as I connect the hands, they can defend the guillotine. Before I connect the hands, there's no guillotine to defend. As soon as I grab, now he can defend it. Now there's lots of ways that they can defend. The main 3 are to pass the guard, to roll to the back, and to throw this arm over the top of the head, over the top of the shoulder. They throw this arm here, that means that I can't lift my elbow. Okay? If your elbow is high, they can't bring the arm over the top. Okay, so there's a bit of a race there as well. I don't have the time to react to any of those. I need to defend them before they happen. And then if he defends, I've already counted it. And if they don't defend, it doesn't matter. All right? So that means that as soon as I connect my hands, I need to both bring my legs out and my elbow high at the same time. Now this is, I have done this seminar like maybe 160 times now in different places. And I still debate like the exact same way. I still debate with myself whether I should talk about the high elbow earlier. And my conclusion is no. But the elbow is coming. As soon as I connect my hands, I go high with the elbow. Because I don't know that if as soon as I connect my hands, he might block it. So the second I connect my hands, I am bringing my legs out and I'm bringing the elbow high at the same time. The difference is very, very easy and quick to do this, and it takes more time to do the legs. So the elbow will be high earlier, but they're both happening at the same time. So in reality, when I'm setting up my guillotine, I collect the head. The second, he knows already too early. So I connect the hands. As soon as the hands are connected, I'm crunching, lifting, the elbows leading the game. Okay, he's in charge. He's showing everyone else where to go. And I'm doing this at the same time. Okay? So make sure when you're doing this in real life, you're not waiting for your back to hit the mat before that elbow moves. Make sense? Now, like I said, I want to have you guys practice this technique in just one different way, which is, I want you to, so there's a test of a knife's sharpness called the hanging hair test. Has anyone heard of this? You get a blade, and if it's sharp enough, you take out a hair and you drop the hair onto the edge. And if it's sharp enough, it will cut through that hair. Now that's really fucking sharp. Okay, that's like a crazy level of sharpness. And I like to try and do the hanging hair test for my techniques. Is the technique sharp enough that the equivalent amount of energy is the weight of a hair enough to cut? So how do we try this? I get to my position and I'm gonna try and take all of the strength out of this. Not a little bit. I wanna try and use no strength. I'm gonna act like my training partner is a child made of glass. I'm gonna be delicate with them, okay? So I'm gonna be here. I don't need to squeeze the whole position. The shoulder comes forward, but I'm very relaxed. You can feel it. It's very hard for you guys to see, but you can feel. I'm very relaxed here, okay? Take my position, but I'm still very relaxed. Not putting any energy, I'm being delicate here. But I get into my position and I apply very gently and the submission still comes on. It's kind of crazy, right? Because you can feel I'm not doing anything, but the submission is still on just as strong. Now the interesting thing about this is when I started having people do this at the end of the seminar, especially the bigger guys, they start telling me, Dan, I'm submitting them easier with 2% energy than when I was doing 60% energy. Because sometimes when you're using too much energy, you're doing things that are working against you. And when you take all of the energy out of it, you can see the technique, the skeleton of the technique. And then once you understand that, then you can put the muscles on top of it, right? So that's what I want you to try now. Again, start loaded in your guillotine guard, collect the head, and once you're here, just like try and just relax every muscle in your body here. And just go through the movement very gentle. What I say is like try and use so little effort that you can't submit them. And so far I've never had anyone not be able to submit them. Okay? Any questions? Let's have a play with this. 3, 2, 1. So hopefully what you can feel is that, especially when you pull the energy out of it, you can feel the technique working itself. You know? The way, there's a great proverb that I like to use that I think applies beautifully for this. You give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, I spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. Right? That's what we're doing. You sharpen the axe so that when you actually go for to do the technique, you don't have to use, you're not hacking away with a blunt instrument. Okay? We've sharpened the axe now. and you can feel you don't need that much energy to get the finish. And of course, now you do this in sparring, you do this in competition, and you put even 50% energy, it's a very, very easy, very strong finish. Any questions on anything apart from the setup stuff? Any questions on any of the stuff we did today? Anyone?
Can I have a question
Of course.
beside that?
Yeah.
Like in competition, like when you go for the guillotine,
Yeah.
he'll start to back out, and what do they do then?
So, am I still sitting upright? Or?
You have the guillotine choke, you have it, but you don't squeeze it.
Okay.
You have to squeeze it at first.
So, yeah. So, we're talking in the butterfly guard or in the finish position?
In a finish
Okay.
position.
So generally, well, no, sorry.
In the butterfly.
Oh, in the butterfly guard. Okay, but I have the guillotine. Yeah. So this here.
Before you grab.
Before I grab?
No. After you grab.
Okay. So I have control. Yeah, go on. What are you gonna do from here?
Yeah, I'm gonna like go out.
Okay.
Like, look here.
So, remember, what is the problem? What's the hard part for me of getting the legs out? The space. So I want you to move backwards. Because if I take the guillotine here, and the first reaction is to move backwards, okay? This gives me all the space I need for my next position. Of course, a lot of the time, I'm not even waiting for this. As soon as I collect the head here, I'm already moving into position. And once I move into position, again, I want you to pull backwards as long as you leave your head with me. You can take your body, I don't want the body. I just want the head. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if the person pulls backwards from a position that is more dynamic, so if we're in, say, a turtle position, this is where that backwards movement can be most disruptive, because I'm not in a position to take control of the situation, right? But if I'm in butterfly guard and I can get to my guillotine guard, I can take control of the situation. Exactly. Thanks very much. Anyone else? Yeah.
Like, it's probably a question to one more session, but can you show some ways how to avoid to be choked? Yeah, just like
Every seminar I ever do, at the end they say, okay, how do we stop this stuff? Part of me says it's less fun if I tell you how to defend it, because now hopefully everyone will guillotine each other and you won't be able to defend it, and it'll be lots of fun. The other answer, which is maybe a little bit more helpful but still not super helpful, if you understand what you're looking for with the attack, you understand the defense. So what don't I want to happen? I don't want to let them pass. I don't want to let them roll. I don't want to let them bring the arms over. I don't want to let them beat me to the hands. If you just invert that, if I'm being guillotined, trying to pass, trying to stop this, I'm trying to fight the hands, I'm trying to stop the head from being, I don't want the shoulder to be high, I'm trying to get rid of that. And if you focus, the reality is, most jiu-jitsu, but especially defensive jiu-jitsu, is rarely done in technique. It's just avoiding very basic concepts. You're avoiding situations opposed to, the arm is straight, point the thumb back, walk the legs around, In reality, it's just don't let the elbow point down. You know what I mean? Make sense? So semi-useful answer. Yeah? Any other questions? Yeah.
I was watching your instructional on your website.
Oh, awesome.
Great, awesome.
Thank you so much. Yes.
You show like the jumping pass, you're still controlling
Yes.
the head. Is it just the shoulder which is doing the control?
So for the
When they're jumping past butterfly guard, you're still choking them when they get to the
yes. So can I pour you very quickly? So I taught this at a camp a few weeks ago, and I have been utilizing. I've been allowing the guard pass more, because if they pass the guard to the correct side, there's a lot of confidence that comes with this movement. So they'll pass and they'll drop down heavy. Now, what this does, just turn the angle slightly, is it does two things. The main thing it does is it changes the angle of my wrist. Where my wrist is no longer underneath the neck, it's now on the side of the neck. And the way that it does it is by crushing my elbow. Because what the elbow really does, it helps me with the pull, but it also assures that my wrist is at the right angle. So if the elbow comes through, the wrist angle comes to the side of the neck and the choke's not on anymore. So what's the way that I can finish the guillotine if they pass the guard? Any ideas?
I usually sweep them, like.
Sometimes, yeah. But how can I finish it without sweeping? So I'm here. He's going to pass the guard. How can I finish them? No. I don't allow him to crush the elbow. So passing the guard does not equal killing the elbow. If you don't react, it will do that. But it doesn't have to do that. So what I'll look to do, spin around a little bit, just see a bit more. So what I'll look to do is, as they, just very slowly, as they go to pass, stop there, I'm going to punch this arm through further. Okay. So it starts to do this, and I punch it back through, and again I lead with the elbow. So I do this. So even though he passes, yeah, you feel that? So even though he passes, the elbow stays high. Now if the elbow stays high, the wrist is still on the neck, but now his body weight is dropping down and the choke is 10 times worse. And because they don't expect it, they just kind of panic and they tap. Or they jump over to the other side and you take top position. So again, one more time, very slowly. I take the guillotine here. I feel he's trying to pass. I can't react. Now, if you're not good at guillotines, the better answer is probably to let go and try and stop the guard pass. But if you want to risk it for a biscuit, you can. And as they go to pass, I punch the elbow through and I reset that high elbow. And that's really on. Okay. Any other questions? We'll talk very briefly about the guillotine setup because it's very simple. I'm not going to show you a technique. I'm just going to explain a simple concept to you. The same cue that we used for the shoulder position, we use for the setup. If I can see the back of my opponent's neck, I can put my shoulder behind the neck. So I can't see the back of your neck now, but if you come close enough to show me the back of your neck, now I can bring my shoulder into position. So that's the first thing really. In order to do the guillotine, I need the shackle and the blade. In order to get the shackle, I just need to be able to see the back of the neck. So if they stick their, if they shoot a takedown, boom, they're going straight into position there. But if I'm not able to see the back of the neck, I can snap down with either the same side arm or the assisting arm, the non-choking arm. I can snap down into a position that I can see the neck and then bring the shoulder over the top, right? But if they're really far away from me, I can't do it from here. So what my rule is I don't want to extend my arm past about 90 degrees. So if I can make contact with the back of the head without extending the arm past 90, so he's not in range, come a bit closer, he's not in range, now he's in range. So like when you're here, you're right here, sort of like head in line with the jaw. In this position now I can't see the back of the neck, but I can snap down into a position where I can. Okay, so that's one thing. I'm looking to bring the shoulder behind the neck. I need to be able to see the neck. If I can't see the neck, I can snap down as long as I'm not overreaching when I do it. The second thing, big mistake people make, is they'll snap down and then once their head is low enough, they'll bring the wrist underneath the neck. The problem with this is as soon as you bring the head down, they are tucking their chin, they're bringing their shoulders up and they're bringing their hands on the inside and you're never going to get a clean contact with the wrist on the neck. So what I aim to do from here is, my goal is to make contact with the blade on the neck at the exact same time as the hand on the back of the head. Okay? So instead of doing this, I'm doing this here. Because now, when I get my shoulder position, the wrist is already there. I can connect the hands and I have my guillotine set up. Okay? So we're here, I'm not attacking this, I'm not going for this, I'm doing other stuff. The head comes within range, I see like beep, 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 it's there, it's ready to go. And then when I'm there, and if you always attack it straight away, we're getting more into the strategic stuff now, but that's what I love about jiu-jitsu, the psychology, It's like a deer walks out from the woods, and if it hears something, it runs back in straight away. But it walks out in the woods and it looks around and nothing happens. It gets a bit more confident and it walks a bit more and nothing happens. And then it relaxes and it starts eating. Same thing. If the first time they bring their head within level, I start doing this, they're cautious. So what do? They bring the head down, nothing happens. Still doing other stuff, nothing happens. And then they start to go, okay, there's no threat here. That's when I do my attack. But you're getting like deeper into the psychology of, you know, the competition there. Does that make sense? We won't play around with that. I don't think we have time. We'll probably have a wrap pretty much. But that's something for you to think about. Any other questions? Everyone good?
Yep.
Cool guys. Thank you very much. Cheers guys. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.